This week,
you see several officers approaching an SUV before the driver reverses and pulls the car forward. That's when one officer pulls out a gun and fires.
In the wake of an ICE agent shooting and killing a 37-year-old U.S. citizen,
we recognize that he acted according to his training. He acted appropriately to protect his life and the life of his colleagues and fellow law enforcement officers that were there and people that were surrounding.
The Trump administration claiming the officer acted properly before any investigation.
People in positions of power have already passed judgment, from the president to the vice president to Kristi Noem, have stood and told you things that are verifiably false.
And growing protests nationwide of the shooting. Now in Tennessee, more law enforcement agencies are joining efforts to help ICE with its mass immigration enforcement, mass deportation efforts.
I don't understand.
Are you being arrested?
I'm being arrested. I don't know why.
Hundreds of DUI stops are being challenged by lawsuits claiming the person arrested was not impaired. Questionable arrests that happened across the state. The Trump administration calls it a police action. More than 150 aircraft, ground troops, and rockets were used in the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. A look at what happened and what's next.
So parents are satisfied with what's taking place.
I'm glad the parents are satisfied. I would be too if I was getting several $1,000s of free money from our government.
And Governor Bill Lee is hoping to expand the school voucher program during the upcoming legislative session, despite a new report showing not all the current vouchers are being used. Hello again, and welcome to another edition of This Week. We begin with more Tennessee law enforcement agencies assisting the crackdown on illegal immigration in the wake of an ICE agent shooting and killing a U.S. citizen in Minnesota. Here's State Capitol reporter Tori Gessner.
It was May 2025 in Nashville. ICE and the Tennessee Highway Patrol teamed up to arrest close to 200 people in an illegal immigration raid. That effort followed by a 287G agreement, where the feds and local law enforcement worked together to enforce immigration laws. At that time, just 6 agencies in Tennessee had signed a 287G agreement. That number now at 56.
I think there was a wait and see in the early part of last year about how the program would actually work. I think sheriffs have identified and talked to sheriffs in other counties, and they've said that this does work. It is it's helpful to their efforts to protect their communities.
Republican Representative Lee Reeves has urged local sheriffs to sign one of the 3 types of 287G agreements. The most popular among Tennessee agencies, one that lets corrections officers serve and execute ICE warrants on people already in jail. Reeves says before, they'd have to release them back onto the streets for ICE to handle.
When they let somebody out and then ICE has to go pick up that person, now you're doing that not in a controlled setting of a jail, but out in a neighborhood. And that's a real problem for Tennesseans. And I think sheriffs are realizing the benefits of the 287G program.
But critics say 287Gs do more harm than good.
It's a program that is rife with civil rights violations, that is incredibly costly to local governments and erodes trust with local law enforcement and the community. Now, if you're an immigrant, you're not going to call law enforcement when you've been a victim of a crime.
But Reeves disagrees, arguing 2 out of the 3 287G models take place inside jails. He anticipates Tennessee sheriffs to continue signing on. Reporting in Nashville, I'm Tori Gessner.
A new Tennessee Bureau of Investigation report details hundreds of DUI traffic stops where the person arrested was completely sober. Numerous lawsuits have been filed over the issue. The data shows is happening in departments across the state. Here's News 2's Kelly Milan.
I don't understand.
Are you being arrested?
I'm being arrested. I don't know why.
What happens when you are sober and get arrested for a DUI? It sounds rare, but it's now backed by data. According to the Tennessee Bureau investigation, 419 people in Tennessee were arrested for a DUI in 2024, despite having no alcohol detected in their blood. Stephanie Fair is one of them.
You haven't had any alcoholic beverages today or last night?
No, sir. All my life. I get migraines. I can't drink. All my life. All my life.
What do you do for work?
I'm a mom of 4.
You're a mom of 4, so you're a stay-at-home mom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. What I want you to do is I want you to face my car.
Okay.
Place your hands behind your back.
Why?
Because you're being placed under arrest for DUI.
Fair's arrest dates back to June of 2024. In a lawsuit, Fair alleges the trooper improperly administered field sobriety tests, handcuffed her, illegally induced her to consent to a blood draw, and took her to jail. After months of waiting for test results, the blood draw showed no alcohol detected and no basic drugs detected.
What's going on? So she almost hit me. I come up to the car and it just reeks of alcohol, and I'm like, have you had any of them? She's like, no, I'm coming from an ice cream bar. I was like, okay. I was like, but it smells like alcoholic beverage coming from inside the car. She's like, yeah, no, I haven't drink. I don't drink. I was like, well, how'd she do on the test? You can see it in her eyes. Her eyes were bouncing.
Fair, a former Bravo TV reality star and singer, says the arrest followed her long after the release.
Fortunately, Stephanie suffered tremendous harm from having her mugshot and a description of the incident posted all over the internet.
The data only came to light after a new law passed last year, requiring the state to release previous years of DUI arrests where blood tests later showed no alcohol detected. According to the TBI, the State Highway Patrol made 37 arrests for DUI in Nashville. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office made 16. And the Laverne Police Department made 11.
Over 400 improper arrests related to DUIs, sober DUIs. Looks like a lot of activity occurred with Highway Patrol in specific counties. So we can kind of look at what needs to be tweaked, have conversations with law enforcement officers, with different lawmakers.
The Tennessee Highway Patrol has not commented on Fair's lawsuit when I reached out to them. It's also important to note Metro Nashville police operate their own crime lab. So those numbers do not include MNPD DUI cases. Back to you.
Half a decade ago, rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol, urged on by President Trump, trying to overturn the 2020 election. The White House is now trying to rewrite what occurred that day, blaming Democrats and Capitol Police. That is not how others who were there remember what took place.
Tonight, exactly 5 years since the violent January 6th attack, pardoned Capitol rioters returning to protest. Some in the crowd clashing with counter-demonstrators as they marched to the Hill. Marking the anniversary, the White House unveiling a new website trying to rewrite the history of the riot, repeating the lie the 2020 election was stolen and accusing then Vice President Mike Pence of cowardice and sabotage for rejecting President Trump and certifying the election, and calling many in the mob that injured more than 140 police officers peaceful protesters. President Trump pardoned all of the nearly 1,600 January 6 defendants. Today, some proudly carrying framed copies of those pardons and lifting a banner thanking Trump. But one rioter rejected Trump's pardon. Pamela Hemphill pleaded guilty and served 2 months in prison, seen here in videos she filmed that day. Hemphill, now 72, says she was convinced of Trump's election lies and today apologizing to Capitol Police.
I am truly sorry from the bottom of my heart for being part of the mob that put you and so many officers in danger. I can't believe people are still disrespecting you and trying to lie about January the 6th.
And while the White House is blaming Capitol Police now for the violence on January 6, former Vice President Mike Pence is now out with a new statement responding, praising law enforcement for quelling the chaos that day and allowing lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to, quote, finish democracy's work under the Constitution. On Capitol Hill, Jay O'Brien, ABC News.
And stay with us. This week continues in a moment. And welcome back. Without congressional approval or notification, President Trump sent military troops and aircraft into Venezuela to take down dictator leader Nicolas Maduro. Tonight, a look at the assault, the consequences, and what happens next.
Tonight, dramatic new video of that dangerous mission to seize Maduro that injured U.S. helicopter pilots. Explosions lighting up the hillside around Maduro's heavily fortified compound in Caracas as U.S. warplanes blasted Venezuelan air defenses early Saturday morning. U.S. forces knocking out power to parts of the city, allowing them to move in total darkness. A dozen U.S. Special Operations helicopters flying just 100 feet above the ground, moving in over the compound, firing miniguns and rockets at multiple targets. You can see in the video what appears to be small arms return fire or an RPG streaking wildly through the sky. A U.S. helicopter was struck during the operation, President Trump saying pilots were injured and bleeding, but continued the mission. Inside the compound, the Army's elite Delta Force team moving in. They had built an exact replica of Maduro's compound and practiced the raid for months. A covert CIA team tracking Maduro's every move right down to what he ate. Secretary Pete Hegseth today saying Maduro and his wife unaware of what was happening until minutes before. Those special operations forces coming under heavy gunfire by Maduro's security, grabbing Maduro and his wife as they headed for a safe room moments before they could close a steel door behind them.
The safe place is all steel, and he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast.
Cuba saying 32 Cubans were killed before U.S. forces rushed Maduro and his wife into the helicopters, flying them out to a ship at sea. Some 200 U.S. forces took part in the operation, the extraction team on the ground only a short time, with no U.S. lives lost.
Tonight, the nation's top military official who oversaw that extraordinary operation in Venezuela.
Sir, is the U.S. now occupying Venezuela?
Arriving on Capitol Hill to brief lawmakers, alongside Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and other top administration officials.
Are U.S. troops being deployed to Venezuela, yes or no?
President Trump is adamant the U.S. is in charge of the country, even as Venezuela swore in Nicolas Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, as interim leader.
We're in charge.
But hours earlier, his own Secretary of State attempted to dial back the role the U.S. will play in Venezuela, saying the administration is trying to influence policy with a blockade on oil leaving the country. With world leaders condemning the U.S., the president signaling he could pursue military action beyond Venezuela, with 15,000 U.S. service members now in the region.
Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
Colombia's president's indicating he's ready to take up arms. In addition to Colombia, President Trump says he could target Cuba and Mexico and make Greenland part of the United States. The Danish prime minister says with respect to Greenland, if the U.S. attacks a NATO ally, then everything stops. Tonight, the State Department posting this image of President Trump with the words, "This is our hemisphere."
A little more than 48 hours ago, Nicolas Maduro ruled a nation with 30 million people and the world's largest oil reserves. Tonight, the deposed Venezuelan dictator is a shackled criminal defendant, whisked from jail in Brooklyn, flown across the East River by helicopter into Lower Manhattan with his wife and co-defendant Celia Flores to face federal drug charges. Escorted under heavy guard to an armored vehicle for the short ride to federal court, where canine dogs roamed the hall and U.S. Marshals inspected the courtroom chair where Maduro would sit. Nicolas Maduro's presence inside Manhattan federal court brought protesters here outside, some denouncing the U.S. military action that captured him, others supporting what President Trump ordered. Inside, Maduro greeted spectators in the courtroom, saying "Buenos dias." He put on headphones for Spanish translation and rose in his seat as the judge asked, "Are you Nicolas Maduro?" "I am the president of the Republic of Venezuela," a defiant Maduro responded. "I am here kidnapped. I was captured at my home in Caracas, Venezuela." The judge cut him off. Maduro's wife declared, "I am the First Lady of the Republic of Venezuela," before the judge interrupted her. "The purpose today is just to ask who you are." Prosecutors say Maduro and his wife worked together to traffic cocaine.
What the government is alleging is they literally were handing out passports to drug dealers. They were engaging in murder and kidnapping, using the diplomacy, using the veil of the Venezuelan government to pursue this drug conspiracy.
Asked how he pleaded to the charges, Maduro said, "I am innocent. I am not guilty. I am a decent man. I am still president of my country." Flores then stated her plea, not guilty, completely innocent. Maduro's wife appeared with a bruised and bandaged head. Her lawyer said she may have a fracture or severe bruising on her ribs. Maduro's attorney called the U.S. raid a military abduction and said Maduro is the head of a sovereign state, immune from prosecution. As Maduro was led from the courtroom, someone in the gallery stood and shouted in Spanish, "You will pay in the name of Venezuela." Maduro stopped and turned to face the heckler, saying, "I am the elected president. I am a prisoner of war. I will be free."
As Nicolas Maduro insisted to a U.S. courtroom he is still Venezuela's president, tonight his son with the same defiant message from Caracas.
Si normalizamos el secuestro de un jefe de Estado,
if we normalize the kidnapping of a head of state, he said, no country is safe, vowing Maduro and his wife will return to the country. He spoke in front of the National Assembly for this show of continuity and was surrounded by those powerful lieutenants of Maduro's autocracy. Some of them, including his son, are facing the same U.S. narco-terrorism charges as Maduro. The White House says these same people will now work with America to govern the country, but how is still very unclear.
Days after Maduro's capture, there is still no clarity about what is going to happen in Venezuela, and that is why Colombia is beefing up security here at the border. They are concerned about a security breakdown in Venezuela, which could trigger a massive migration crisis.
This border where thousands of Venezuelans cross every day for cheaper goods.
And tonight, the Venezuelan government has renewed its national appeal to track down anyone who may have helped the U.S. carry out that daring raid. Outwardly, at least, this is not a changed government. James Longman, ABC News, on the border with Venezuela.
Democratic lawmakers are calling for Congress to have a say in any future military action against Venezuela after the U.S. captured Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro.
There should be no war in Venezuela unless Congress affirmatively declares it.
Virginia Senator Tim Kaine's War Powers resolution would require the president to seek congressional approval for any more military action against the country.
The only way that this can be stopped is for Congress to stop it.
The Senate rejected a similar measure in November with just 2 Republicans, Senators Rand Paul and Lisa Murkowski, voting for it.
I will be supporting Senator Kaine's effort on the War Powers Act.
Virginia Senator Mark Warner says he hopes more Republicans, who he says are expressing concerns privately, vote for it this time.
Will those concerns go from private to public?
Congresswoman Nancy Mace says the president didn't need to come to Congress.
There was no act of war here. We went in, we got the guy, we got back out.
He's a bad guy. This is the first guy that's actually done something about it.
South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham says he thinks the president acted within his authority.
This is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Well, the House this week passed its version of the War Powers Act. It goes to the Senate next week. Stay with us. This Week continues in a moment. Welcome back. New information tonight about the state's controversial school voucher program. While Governor Bill Lee wants to expand the program, a new report shows more families are utilizing the program, but not all of the vouchers are being used. News 2's Audrey Mayer breaks down the findings.
Yadira Calderon's 17-year-old daughter is a school voucher recipient and now attends Templeton Academy. Yadira says the program has been transformative for her family.
Spectacular, rewarding, with the challenges that she faces as a student with autism, and all of this plethora of different realities. The way it has been handled is just a major shift.
But Tennessee Democrats, including Representative Caleb Hemmer, criticized the state's school voucher programs, pointing out voucher recipients don't perform as well on TCAP scores compared to their public school peers. Additionally, Hemmer says he will be introducing a new voucher bill to provide safeguards for taxpayers.
Vouchers are not a good deal for taxpayers or students by and large.
Republican Representative William Slater pushes back on that criticism, arguing ESA recipients' TCAP scores may be lower because tests are designed for public school students. He adds ESA recipients come from economically disadvantaged homes.
The satisfaction rate of parents when it comes to the academic performance of their student and how well schools are communicating with them is at 84%. So parents are satisfied with what's taking place.
The state audit also found while more than 3,600 students participated in the Education Savings Account program, an increase from the year before and the year before that, participation remains below the 5,000 student capacity.
There's room for improvement when it comes to just advertising the opportunity that ESAs provide for students.
The report also notes parent satisfaction rates with the program are very high, reaching at least 94% each year based on a parent satisfaction survey. But the survey participation has gone down from 96% in the first year to only 15% this past year.
Well, I'm glad the parents are satisfied. I would be too if I was getting several $1,000s of free money from our government.
The state audit also found by the third year of the ESA program, just 28% of ESA students previously attended a local public school the year before they received a school voucher, and most students did not previously attend a low-performing school. Audrey Mayer, News 2.
Stay with us. This Week continues in a moment. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. I want to thank you for spending part of your weekend with us. That will do it for another edition of This Week. We hope to see you back here next weekend for another edition of This Week. Between now and then, enjoy your friends and family and enjoy your week.